G'day! This week my midlife gap year adventure has taken me to Dalat, the city of eternal spring, which sits about 1600 metres above sea level in the highlands of Vietnam. It's a short flight from Ho Chi Minh City, but plenty of people take the trip by bus. Personally, I took a 4-hour bus ride from Mooney, and then spent the next few days stuck in my hotel room thanks to food poisoning. Not exactly the plan. But I eventually was feeling good enough to get out and about and see a bit of the place. So my first stop was Datanla Waterfall. This is about 10 minutes out of town, and there's a full adventure set up here, so think zip lines, rope courses, go-karts. I just went for the Alpine Coaster. About 400,000 dong, and honestly it was worth it. It's a great way to get down to the waterfall. The only issue is if the person in front of you is a bit slower than you'd like to go, because you're kind of stuck right in the brake. So my advice would be just cast a judgmental eye over whoever's in front of you, and if they look like they're going to go slow, leave a bit more space. Eventually, we made it down to the waterfall, and to be honest, the coaster here is the main attraction. The operator knows it. They've tried to brighten the place up with some slightly random photo setups along the stream. Safe to say, I'm pretty sure the dinosaur is a Nam. Still, the view from higher up the waterfalls is actually pretty nice, and there's a lot less people who take this trek up the stairs, so worth checking out if you're here. The quick ride back up on the coaster, that was Datanla done. Back in town, I checked out the flower gardens. Dalat's climate makes it a place where you can grow pretty much anything, and flowers are a key export for this region. The gardens itself showcase a variety of different flowers. They're set in different themes, so there's a Japanese themed garden, a sculpture garden, Vietnamese, fairy tale garden. There's also a bit of a musical theme running through the place, which reflects the fact that Dalat is a UNESCO City of Music. Personally, I really liked it. It was a good spot to spend a couple of hours just roaming around, taking the photos and relaxing away from the noise of the city. That night, I headed down to the Dalat night market. I still couldn't risk eating street food, unfortunately, but there were plenty of other things to look at though, and if you are interested in buying some winter clothing, this is definitely the place. The next morning I was finally feeling 100%, so I headed up on the cable car. So right now I'm riding the cable car. I've got a carriage to myself, so bonus. And I have to say it is a fun little experience. Only about $6 Australian bucks is what I paid for a return trip. But be warned, it does shut between the hours of 11:30 and 1 o'clock. There is no cable car at all because they're all out to lunch. So, a bit of an odd one for a tourist spot, but hey. I did get to spend a bit more time up at the Pagoda, which, didn't change my perspective on the world or religion, but it was quite peaceful. It did clear out, so it was very quiet. It was a very pretty place. The gardens were quite lovely. If you are coming up here on the cable car, I'd say skip going to the gardens in town and paying the 100,000 dong there, and just come here because the gardens were beautiful. With nothing grabbing me at the top of the mountain, I decided to head back into town for lunch. I wound up at Goc Ha Thanh, a cafe that was reviewed as having a strong understanding of gluten-free, which they did, which was welcome. I ended up ordering the Dalat chicken curry, which was nice, but it just tasted just like a massaman curry if you've ever been to Thailand. Still, worth the stop and, a hearty lunch. After that, I wandered through some alleyways in the centre of town that have been decorated with some street art. It's a nice little spot to grab a few photos and take a bit of a walk. Not necessarily a must-see when you're here, but remember, it is Vietnam, so if someone can ride a motorbike there, they will, so keep an eye out for that. So I successfully managed to miss the train I wanted to catch by about 5 minutes, and the next tourist train isn't for another 2 hours, so I'm not going to stick around that long here at the station. But I'm going to go check it out. The building itself is an Art Deco construction. It dates back to the French colonial period. And it's pretty cool. There hasn't been a proper train here for a number of years. The tourist train does go up to a pagoda, so I'm going to see how far that is. Probably just will hop a grab up there once I've finished checking out the place. Having done some Googling, I decided the pagoda wasn't worth the grab ride and decided to walk back into the centre of town. This was a pretty easy journey downhill, past some shops and around the lakeshore, through Yersin Park, and then brought me out at Lam Vien Square. While occupational health and safety hasn't caught on in this town yet, the square itself is worth checking out. There's a couple of really striking modernist buildings, one in the shape of a wild sunflower, the other in an artichoke, and there's also some shops and a food court underneath. So after the square, I kept on walking along the lakeshore and headed up to the Black Rooster Church, officially known as St Nicholas Cathedral of Dalat. Yes, it is named after the black rooster on top of the steeple. The church itself was built in the 1930s, and unfortunately I couldn't check it out because there was a service going on, hence the bells ringing. After this, I'd worked up quite an appetite and decided to get some dinner. I headed to the Blue Parrot Mexican, another restaurant that had been reviewed as having a good understanding of gluten-free. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting much from Mexican in the Vietnamese highlands, but this place was good. The staff were friendly, spoke excellent English, the food was tasty, and they managed to hook me up with some gluten-free enchiladas served in a corn tortilla. After my hearty Mexican meal, it was time for a nightcap, so I went to the Blue Hour Tavern. This is a cute little cocktail bar in the centre of town, in the alleyway where some of the street art is. I really liked the drinks here, and the service was also very friendly. And so that was my trip to Dalat. A bit of a rough start, but I think it turned out pretty good in the end. If you've made it this far, thanks for sticking around, and I'll catch you in the next one.